May I say a very good day to all that are viewing this broadcast on behalf of the African Kingdoms Federation and the House of Ra Imperial Lines. I'm Her Majesty Empress Shebah III, the present Queen of Sheba of our Nubia-Sheba nation, kingdoms and thrones. We were earlier busy preparing a broadcast on the AKF TV, but due to technical difficulties, we have used this option. This broadcast is especially for those of the African diaspora. However, it is for all people of all nations on this our planet Earth. In 2000, we started the protocol, His Majesty the Nubian-Nation King and myself, towards recognition of the diaspora as the main line of the oldest thrones alongside the older houses that are all one integral family throne. It was not an easy process. To some it was understood, to many it was not. Along that road, the question was often, is it a need? Is there a need for it? Is there a purpose? Is it of relevance? Yes, it is of relevance. Yes, there is a need. And yes, there is a purpose. To understand the importance of this for the nations is to look back in history. During the transatlantic trade of the African nations people, many were taken into the Caribbean regions, many were taken into different parts of the Americas and North America. However, the situation was not the same for all. In terms of the suffering, yes. The oppression, yes. The trials and the tribulations, yes. But the application of the process is what made the difference, and the fundamental difference today. The slaves that was taken to the colonies, in many cases, were left intact as families. The risk of a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, grandparents, or who it may be, running away and leaving the family behind to be harmed or to be tortured was far less a risk. Whilst on the other side, when we look to North America and those regions, the situation was different. Those slaves taken were separated in the beginning from their families, from their tribal clan, from any and all that spoke the same language. This for security against mutiny, revolutions, or any sort of uprising by the slaves. It meant all identity by the second or the third generation was totally stripped. Equally as well, a lot of cultural, traditional norms was by the future generation gone. Whilst you will find in the Caribbean and in Asia Pacific and in many of those regions, a lot of the traditions has been maintained until today. We cannot say it is the same for all. It is not. In our traditions of all, we say, if you really wanted to punish someone, that after they pass from life to death, that they cannot greet their ancestors, they could not go into the realms of the gods and the goddesses as was seen and a part of our tradition and ancestry. then you need to deface them, or they needed to be beheaded. It was a terrible thing. Thus I ask the question, when you strip one of all identity, that they know not the root, they know not the branch, and they know not the tree of their line, how much worse is that? We may say today we know our parents, our grandparents, and maybe their great-grandparents. But you go back, there'll be a limit as how far you can go. And 2-3 generations ago, very few were able to go back at all. Nationality is a nationality. Nationality is not your root, it is your nationality. That's why it can easily be changed and new can be adopted. But the essence and the genetic fiber of who you are, that is your identity, and that is what was taken. Africa did not send her children out of Africa. Africa did not give her children away. The African kingdoms gave no right and no authority to take the tribes of the nations away. And the one throne that have the absolute authority and right to say yes or no of the children nation of the descendant thrones that was born of the mother throne gave no one permission to take anyone out of Africa. Granted, of the hundreds and hundreds of African kingdoms of the descendant lines of the thrones of Nubia and Sheba, that there was 1 or 2 main thrones that did participate in slavery. It was equally so that it's the lines of the old thrones that fought in the battle that was in the 18th century that started the process of the abolition and the stopping of the slavery from Africa. For many generations, the descendant nations, the descendant children of those taken, they were born, they lived, they died with a question, with a longing, with a right, with a denial that was kept intact. Not just for 400 years, 400 years plus in terms of the Atlantic trade, but that was not the start. When we started this process towards recognition in 2000, I knew it was not going to be an easy journey, but I did not mind. I knew as well a lot had to be done for the preparation towards any decree that would give recognition. I knew as well there would be obstacles, there will be challenges, and there would be a battle ahead. Fine. In 2000, the process started. In 2004, I started the drafting of the decree. Whilst working towards the process to facilitate the support of the descendant nations and the integration culturally, socially, and also physically back within Africa. I am not saying to get everyone back to Africa, no. They've got freedom of choice. But the right to have an identity wherever they may choose to stand, and in respect and with respect of who they are. In 2006, before the Nubian community in Nubia, in New Halfa, the lines of old of their grandmothers and their grandparents from the very root that now covers from Egypt to Aswan to all of Nubia, Sudan, and all through Africa. I made it known. There will be a unification of the Diaspora nation. Obstacles? Not from the people, but there were from outside. That's all right. In 2007, we had the first of the Kingdom-Nations Summit. And the proclamation was uttered from this throne that there will be a renaissance and a unification of the children and recognition of the descendants of Africa, because that is their right. In 2007, therefore, the process was started for the final design and preparation of that decree, and it was done. And it was done. So we went further. By 2008, 2009, the decree was prepared. It was ready. That's when every possible attack that you can think of started. The question was the authenticity of the throne, the rights of the throne, the rights of the kingdom to even there say, that is our people, that is our children. And they have a right to be accepted, respected, and recognized for who they are. It is important to understand that as the kingdoms and lines of the older thrones, the mother thrones, the ancestral thrones, we need no one but our authority to recognize our own. Africa did not send her children out of Africa. We did not. That so many generations have suffered so much, battered, oppressed, suppressed, and faced so many trials and tribulation is very sad. And sad is putting it lightly, but I'm being polite. Shall it continue? I think not. In the process towards getting this and many other things done, as I often said, I say thank you for the Almighty, because it was His choice that my hair was white from childhood. I guess it was in preparation for the battle that was ahead. Before the proclamation of the decree was totally public, there were so many attacks from inside and out, and I've been called every evil name in the book. But I'm still sitting here, and I'm still smiling. And I said to many, thank you, because I'm in very good company. You've just put me in the lines of all of those who came to fight for humanity, and that what was right, that you have chastised, insulted, and have done so much more, calling them everything from not true to fakes to all the nonsense that there be. I battle no one. It's in God's court. Who gives the right to the throne to recognize the people of the throne? It's the self-same that form the covenant and the anointment of the thrones of Africa, which is Almighty God Himself. So go to Him and ask, what authority have this Queen of Sheba to get and to see that the children of the nations of the diaspora are recognized, are returned their sense of identity, self-esteem, and pride. And at the same time, that they can come together with the rest of Africa to build a unified nation of a unified people. Nations of Africa, outside of Africa or in. It was said Nubia-Sheba was given for a while to save the Israel of old. It was also said, the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. If we look at the whole process of what have happened to this nation and civilization, every time the trials and tribulation became, the nation doubled. And though for generations we went from magnificent, self-sufficient, and wealthy nations where poverty had no home, we became one where poverty became the status quo. At the same time, so great is our Creator and so great is the Mother too of creation, that the culture and the norm and the thrones and the lines of old, regardless of the oppression and the suppression, as long spoken, has never, ever been broken. Eyes veiled, yes. Broken, no. We are an old line. We are a proud line. And we are still here. The thrones of Africa and the kingdoms and queendoms of old did not give anyone the authority to take the children of the womb of Africa. As of 2007, with the ratification and everything else that was done towards the final proclamation and utterance of the recognition decree, it was pushed forward, and I signed and declared it. The descendant nations of the children of the transatlantic slave trade have been recognized, so too they form communities and form nations, as the nations, not of one tribe, not of one kingdom, not of any one part of the tree, but have been directly recognized and placed under the wings and the root of their mother throne, their grandmother's line. So there'll be no debates, there'll be no fights as to the right of their recognition. If anyone need discuss it, they had 400 years the time to step up. We do not ask, shall our people be recognized? This is the kingdoms. They are recognized. In accordance to the laws of our throne and tradition, the utterance of the throne is law. Some asks, who are you? How do we know you're the queen? Go and ask it of heaven. Anyone who knows the powers and the secrets of the throne of Africa knows No one sits on a throne that is not their own and hope to survive even a day. If anyone knows anything of the kingdoms of Africa, they will know that most royals will flee the country rather than go sit on a throne. It's a massive responsibility. Massive. And it's not easy. The African kingdoms are nations of old, of history, of ancestry, of culture, of norms, of social fabric and cultural fibers. It is said that Africa is poor. Africa is not poor. Africa is the wealthiest, and as a continent, the largest that exists. Yes, it is. It was said and it was written, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Nothing spoken shall be denied. It has become. The First Nations, the grandparents of humanity, became the last. In existent time, 3 nations were born of one cradle. The first was the lines and the tribes of Nubia, the empires that was expanded from Naama to Kush, or Kush back to Naama, his son, and further. During the generations of existence, the line expanded into what is present-day Asia. During the first ice age, became the first changes that formed that first new nation that we call today Asia. Born as the first new nation of Africa, the daughter of Africa. In later times, before the second process of the Ice Age, as the lines and settlement expanded in search of food, and the people and the populations were growing and the weather was very harsh, those that went above the Iranian plateau, further up north, was caught in the second Ice Age in the Caucasus region. Those children born of Africa, daughter Asia, that were caught there, they formed the Caucasian nation, the grandchildren of Africa. Humanity is one. There is no nation born to humanity that can be exempt from doing good and doing bad. No one has the monopoly, so therefore no one holds the right to accuse or let stand accuse or destroy any nation for the things that has happened in history. Because if we look back, we will see much. And the only one that has the right and the power to finally judge and decide the right and the wrong is no one that walks the earth, but God above. And no one sit on that throne but the Almighty himself. Here below, the authority of the lines and the responsibility of the nations of man was given to the houses of the thrones that formed the kingdom nations of those ancestors of those first nations of man in the world of the South. Therefore, who wish to question the validity of this person and the validity of this throne, there is one court where such are decided. That's the court of God. And I will gladly challenge anyone there. Because righteousness is righteousness. And that what is wrong is wrong. Equally, I say to the people of the Diaspora, descendant nations, the name Diaspora is a despicable thing. Because it says those that were sent into exile. You were not sent into exile. You are part of us. You are part of me. You are part of Africa, as I'm a part of you, and Africa too. The terminology, in accordance to the throne decree of the Mother Throne for the nation's children outside of Africa, is thus henceforth by decree the Africas. We have the Americas, you are the Africas, because you are of the nations and the lines and the tribes of Africa, of the kingdoms of the world of that south. Recognized you are by right of ancestry and by the power and the authority of your mother throne. You are and have been recognized as the Kasambu nations of the thrones of your mother of Nubia-Sheba kingdom nations. Kasambu means of the royal house. Nation therefore means of the royal house, tribal nations of the mother throne. That is who you are. Though many were taken from many parts of Africa, and particularly West Africa, it's one and the same root mother throne. It's why libation is poured. It's poured to the ancestors. The root of the ancestor is the root and the foundation of the thrones of Nubia-Sheba. Do not disrespect it, because you disrespect the all. To you of the Africas, I am in communication with many, and it saddens me when I hear the hate towards people of many nations in the north, in the west. Do not blame the generations and the people of today for the actions of those of yesterday, because we are then repeating that ugly history. They're not responsible. You cannot blame an entire nation for the actions of a handful within that nation. You cannot. Equally, you cannot hate the entire African nation for the actions of a few. It is wrong. The parties and the people who actively participated in that in the right hour will stand before your Creator. Leave it there. Don't hate other nations. As old lines, you are the grandparents of the lines, are you not? Nubia gave birth to Asia. Asia gave birth to Caucasia. Tell me, when you stand before the first mother of creation, do you think she will accept the fact that the one son is ready to kill the other because of the color of the skin or the shade of the eye or the texture of the hair? Do you think any mother will sit by and have the house divided because of hate that was created by the evil design of a few for the power over the all, because of the devil's purpose, for whatever name he may carry, from devil to set or what it may be? I think not. Therefore, I call on you and I beg of you to love that what is good far more than you hate that what is not. To love your ancestors, your ancestry, and the God of Africa far more than you hate, and practice it. To recognize that humanity is one, and you cannot blame all of humanity for the actions of a few of humanity. And remember that within all that happened, it was the people of many nations, of many lines throughout humanity that fought to stop it. No more racism. No more hate. You are one family. You are one nation. And you are one people. It is important we come together. And we come together for a greater good of humanity. Because if we were to have any purpose or to face any danger that may affect not one nation, but the collective nations of this planet, we will need the collective nations standing in unity with each other as one nation, one world, one humanity to fight against it and to stand against any and all that will harm the liberty, the freedom, and the security of the entirety. No more hate. I will not even attempt to ask for peace amongst mankind. I will start. Let us build towards unity by first recognizing we are one people of one tree. You of what was formerly referred to as the Diasporas are now you, the people of the Africas. Nationality is nationality. Nationality is not your genetic identity. It is your geographic location. And under which nation, under which flag that you live, and to whom you pay taxes or no taxes. That's your nationality. It's the name of the nation and the passport and the ID card you carry. It has nothing to do with the root of the tree and the nations and tribes of nations of tribes of your ancestry that made you who you are and your identity today in so many ways and all the ways that matters. It is important that the world understands and recognizes. If we do not change the cycle of trials and tribulations, we will be handing the generations of today and that will follow us a legacy that is ugly. We are the ancestors of tomorrow. We have no excuse, not at all, none at all, for not seeing that we make the difference. The nations of the Africas, free or under the bridge, incarcerated or ill, wherever you are, I wish you strength. And I hope you understand the relevance of what is happening with that decree. The struggle and the ongoing fight to see that you're aware of it. It is said, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words cannot harm me. To those who have been attacking everything and all to destroy the agenda for the development of the African nations and the duplication and simultaneous application of that agenda within the nations of the Africas for all of the people united, and with that, in support of the empowerment of their nations outside of Africa and inside of Africa. You have placed me by your criticism all over the net and wherever in very good company, because history will show that I am not the first that have been called all the names that you have been put there. It is fine. It will be settled in a greater court. My priority is the nations of the kingdoms of this old throne and this line of Africa, and I would not be distracted from it. The descendants of those taken from Africa has been recognized. A shortened copy of that decree has been made for the many that has asked, please, can we have a copy? The longer copy with all the other signatures has not. My signature, special signature only for decrees and posting, is there. Because they can copy to their heart's desire, it will be of no relevance. It is weak without my person and the special signs that is placed on it, so worry not. God is in control. Alongside this video, a copy of the decree will be there put for you, of the addendum of that, and the summation of what was said that is of relevance to yourself and your family and your children, if it matters to you. But I know for many it does. I welcome all that wish to now learn more about their kingdom that they are now a part of, their nations, their culture, their tribes, of that root, common shared root with all of the kingdoms and all of the tribes and all of the nation. You've come to the Ark. You go to the Federation sites. You go to the library and you find out more. It's for you. We have been working on it and preparing this for a very long time for you. Quietly, silently, put it in place. It is your right, and it is our responsibility and my responsibility as the Matriarch of the Imperial throne, of thrones of the ancestral queendom line. I repeat, the word diaspora, do not use. You are the Africas. Take your dignity, your self-esteem, teach your children. And I pray and I hope that this young generation and the next generation and their children will have no more knowledge, or not even in the vocabulary, the word poverty or the meaning or concept of what it was, or that of the feeling of growing up void of an identity, and therefore the dignity that comes in knowing who you are. Do not feed them the ugly part of that past, but feed them the brilliance of now, this future. They have an identity. Because with the other, it's everything that you have hated. You don't feed your children hot pepper to burn their mouths. You don't. I hope that this has made and will make a difference in your life. I hope it will make a difference in all your lives. We had prepared 3 earlier broadcasts to send to you this evening, this night. I think at least 4. But with each of them, we had an issue sending out. So we finally took this option. So I'm very sorry if I may come over a bit tired and it's a much shorter because I did all of the programs as planned this evening and it was at the end each time they just disappear. So we took this option to have it done from our AKF TV network. It is fine. To all of the communities, sun, moon, stars, and all that are fighting together to bring the nations together. Keep it up. To all of the youth, don't destroy each other. You are not each other's enemy. You are now a part of the kingdom. So now it is time that we, the throne, in accordance to our tradition, wash your feet as the mother of that what has made it dirty, that you may enter in pride and dignity again home now in the house of your ancestors and your ancestry. Welcome home to the kingdoms. Welcome home to who you are, because with the decree of recognition of yourself as the collective and as individuals, it means your ancestors of now and all that has passed have regained their recognition, their dignity through you, of this generation, a mighty generation of a mighty people. Do not hang your head. Do not hate anyone. Understand you are one humanity, and understand no matter what nation that or wherever you are, respect and build that nation, because that is the norms of the Nubian, Kushite, Kasambu tribe. Hold your integrity and your dignity and work towards a unified world for all people and all nations, that never ever in this history or your children's history there shall be a repetition of this. I know there shall not be. What is in the future is in the future. Much will be good, much will not be. But when you stand in unity, the stronger you are to face any and all, be it sunshine or be it storm. On behalf of the Kingdoms Nation Federation, the throne, their majesties of the throne, the Nubian-Nation King, and I, the Matriarch, Shebah the Third, I thank you for your attention, your time, and I hope that this has brought much meaning into your life as it has to my own. I thank you.